Day 2. I found a pregnancy test in the trash, but I'd secretly gotten a vasectomy. The next day, I overheard my wife talking to her mom. Of course I tell him it's his. I did this with the first child. He didn't notice. My lover isn't ready for kids. When she was at work, I packed my stuff and left. I sent the pregnancy test to her lover's wife. She called me and said that shocked me to my core. I grabbed it, raced to my office, cloned its contents to a new device in a matter of minutes, and put it back. My hand shook the entire time, adrenaline surging. As I finished, I heard the water shut off. I had just enough time to slip into Sonia's room and pretend I was watching her sleep. Vanessa peeked in, curious, but I played it off as fatherly affection. The next morning at my office, I finally accessed the phone's cloned data. Within seconds, my vision blurred with tears. It was exactly what I'd feared. The text messages were explicit, describing stolen afternoons in hotels and intimate acts between Vanessa and another man. She joked about how I didn't suspect a thing. They even mentioned scheduling around my travel. The man was never named in the texts, which only made me more certain it was someone she worked with closely and didn't want a name in writing. I sat there crying, ignoring the ping of my secretary, Michelle, on the intercom. She eventually knocked and opened my door, finding me hunched over my desk, tears streaming. Michelle was a sharp, no-nonsense woman, a few years older than me. Usually, we kept a professional distance, but this time she came in, locked the door, and handed me tissues. "What happened?" she asked calmly. I told her everything, the suspicious foil, the hidden pills, the cameras, the second phone. I felt pathetic, but she just listened. Then she said, "Gary, we need details, and we need a plan." When I mentioned I'd also done DNA swabs on the kids, she nodded. "Good, find out the truth, then decide how to act. For now, you have a ticket to visit the Portland branch. You'll be leaving today and won't be back until Thursday." I blinked at her, confused. We hadn't discussed any trip. "Trust me," she said. "Vanessa might get suspicious if you're around too much. Tell her you have a sudden crisis there." Michelle texted Vanessa from my phone, something about an emergency at the Portland location. Vanessa replied that she was sorry to hear it and hoped I'd be back soon. Michelle also gave me the name of her close friend, Lorraine, a divorce attorney who had handled Michelle's own turbulent divorce years ago. I found myself in Lorraine's office within hours, still in shock. Lorraine listened, asked pointed questions, and explained my legal options. Do nothing, file for an amicable divorce. Or go nuclear with an adultery filing that would blow up Vanessa's world and cut off her claims to my assets. I considered each carefully. Do nothing. Impossible. I was furious. File amicably. Why should I give up half of everything I built, especially if the kids weren't mine? My final choice was obvious. I want the nuclear option, I said, hearing my own voice tremble with anger. Lorraine nodded. All right, we'll gather more evidence first. For that, I need the phone you cloned so we can build a solid case. I gave it to her without hesitation. Michelle then took me to a modest hotel, telling me to shower, order room service, and not to go near the minibar. I need you alert, she insisted. You have to plan your next steps. But I couldn't think clearly. My life as I knew it had just shattered. The only small sliver of hope was the possibility that the kids were still mine, or that I was jumping to the wrong conclusions. Yet deep down, I knew the odds were slim. The next morning, I got a text from the DNA company that my results would be ready by the afternoon. I couldn't bring myself to look. Michelle, sensing my hesitation, took my phone, loaded the test results page, and frowned. They're not up yet, she said gently, returning the phone. We'll check again in a few hours. Meanwhile, I had to secure my financial future. Michelle reminded me that there were over 100 employees depending on my leadership in our engineering firm. If Vanessa took me to the cleaners, the business might collapse, and all those families would suffer. That stiffened my spine. I forced myself to think like the engineer I am, strategizing each step. We visited my longtime business attorney, Brian Spencer. He reminded me that we had a prenuptial agreement in place. Every partner in our firm was required to sign one before marriage to protect the company from potential marital disputes. That prenup shielded the company from spousal claims, meaning Vanessa could only target my personal salary and assets like the house and 401. Here's my advice, Brian said. Buy out your partner Robert, who's been hinting he wants to sell. Put as much of your liquid assets as possible into the company, even if it means taking a loan. That keeps your money behind a firewall she can't breach. It sounded daunting, but it beat letting her walk away with half. I called Robert. Initially, he just asked why, and I told him the truth in one flat sentence. Vanessa's been cheating, possibly since day one. He said he was sorry and agreed to sell most of his shares, keeping only 5% for himself as a consulting engineer. We drew up the papers at lunch. Michelle and I checked the DNA results again. This time they were posted. She read them first, a sorrowful expression on her face. I'm sorry, Gary. My hands shook as I took the phone. Both kids were fathered by the same man, but that man wasn't me. My little boy and girl, the ones whose first steps and first words I'd cherished, were not mine at all. I felt rage, hotter than anything I'd ever experienced. Michelle's voice cut through my haze. Stay focused, or you'll lose everything. She guided me out of the diner, and back to Lorraine's office. When we arrived, Lorraine had her own update. We have a preliminary private investigator report. Vanessa had a man over at your house last night. We couldn't see inside, but we have footage of him entering. He used his own key. My stomach churned. Later, reviewing the living room camera, I saw him walk in, welcomed by our son, no by her son, shouting, "Daddy Bill." My tears came in unstoppable waves. That told me everything I needed to know about the father's identity. Bill Wainwright, Vanessa's longtime boss. I realized this might have been going on for the entire duration of our marriage, or close to it. Lorraine took the footage. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.